This is a 2008 Chevrolet Corvette Z06. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the vlog, and welcome back to the beautiful state of Utah. All right, guys, that was my poor attempt at humor, but we are here to talk about the 2008 C6 Corvette Z06 and how it is a car that should be on your list of consideration, especially if you're looking at getting a Corvette in general. All right, guys, so like I said in the previous video, this is a 2008 C6 Corvette Z06 that I have recently purchased, and it is phenomenal. It is a perfect example of what the Z06 really represented in the 6th generation Corvette. You might be asking yourselves, well, Justin, I thought you had a C7 Corvette ZR1. Why is the C6 Z06 so special? That's what we're here to answer today, guys, because there are a lot of Corvette options out there for you right now. You can go from the C7 to the C8, the C6, the C5. You've got a million different options. Why would you consider the C6 Z06? Let's talk about it. The first place we're gonna start is actually under the hood, because that's where things get really interesting with the C6 Z06. So like I said, guys, this is where the magic happens. The Ls7 engine is something completely different than we have gotten in any other Corvette. This is a naturally aspirated 505 horsepower engine that just creates an absolute fantastic amount of power. The exhaust sounds good. The car responds very well to it, and like I said, 505 horsepower without a supercharger, without a turbo. This is your absolute bare essential track car. And lastly, the entire car that I have here in front of you is 100% stock. And what that means for you is that you don't necessarily have to buy a heavily modified C6 Z06 to get a good car. This one, being 100% stock, is already producing that 505 horsepower. It's already producing a really nice engine and exhaust sound. And like I said, it is a performance-built track car in 100% stock form. Now, because I do own a C7 Corvette ZR1, I do want to touch on the fact that I'm sitting here talking a lot about the C6 Z06 and how awesome it is, but then I have this beast sitting in the garage. I want to compare why it is I think the C6 is such a bargain buy. The first place to talk about is the actual price of these things. So when I bought the ZR1, I paid $130,000 for it. That was $10,000 under MSRP. That was a fantastic buy. Now, this car is hard to find under $250,000, and it's got 755 horsepower. But when you're comparing it to the 2008 C6 Z06, it has 505 horsepower, and it cost me $46,000. So the price to power comparison is a no-brainer. The C6 wins. Now, if you are familiar with my channel, you're gonna automatically know right off the bat, I am a manual transmission kind of guy. That is, again, where the C6 Z06 shines, because it only comes in a manual transmission. Again, making it that perfect track car. And for you Corvette enthusiasts out there, yes, it has 4 round tail lights. So this is the last of your traditional style Corvette. If this is something that interests you, the C6 is your only bet to get those 4 round babies. As far as the wheel and tire setup is concerned, yes, we have 19s in the rear and 18s in the front. Now, as the generations have progressed forward, it seems like that has gotten bigger. The C7 Corvette Z06 lineup started with 20s in the rear and 19s in the front, and now the C8 Z06 coming out has 21s in the rear and 20s in the front. So with that said, we still have a really nice tire setup on this car, as well as your typical super track-oriented brake focus as well. So you got the 6-piston calipers up front, you got the cross-drilled rotors, everything you need for track performance. With all of that said, this thing handles itself on the road really well, and I can attest to that personally because I drove it from Florida all the way back to Pennsylvania whenever I purchased it about 3 weeks ago. If you haven't seen that video, the gas mileage that this car gets, with a big 7-liter V8, I managed at one point to have almost 500 miles out of a full tank of gas. Yes, it is that good. Now, this particular example, guys, like I said, I bought it for $46,000. It's a 2008. It had 10,000 miles on it whenever I first bought it. It's up to 12 now after my drive home from Florida and to Corvettes at Carlisle. But with all that said, the interior on this thing is almost perfect. So there is no bolster wear. The leather in general is all really good. There's no cracks on the dash. It literally looks like a brand new car. And if I found it, you can find it as well. They do exist. And in this form, they are supremely awesome, guys. I can't stress enough how awesome the C6 Z06 is. Now, why am I making this video, guys? I want to make it very clear right off the bat here, this is not a review video. I'm not reviewing this car just yet. That will be coming soon. What I wanted to let you guys know is that if you're in the market for a Corvette, this is one you really should be considering. I would still like to own a C5 Z06 just to see how it compares to everything. I have driven one, but I do want to own one someday. Now, again, price to performance, I think it is very hard to beat this particular car. This car has a massive amount of aftermarket parts available that you can put on here and really have a track monster for under a couple $1,000s. So again, it is not a C7 Corvette ZR1, but if you're looking for a budget build, this is where I would start. And lastly, guys, what track day would be complete without also knowing you have a massive amount of cargo space available on this car? This is another reason why driving it back from Florida was no big deal. I had all of the room that you could absolutely want, and it was comfortable. Like I said, it is a track car that can also be comfortable on the street. So if you take this thing on a cross-country trip, you're gonna be just fine. And I did say in the beginning that this car was 100% stock. I'm gonna change that to 99.9% stock because it does have aftermarket floor mats in the interior, as well as the Lloyd's floor mat Z06 in the cargo space. Other than that, it is fully stock. All right, guys, so that was basically the video of me discussing why I think you should consider this car. If you are looking for a Corvette and in general, this is a good place to start. The C6 lineup is one of the better values, one of the best bangs for your buck, so to speak. The Z06 specifically will be the best bang for the buck based on the aftermarket and just the way the car comes stock. So anyway, guys, if you have any questions about what we talked about here today, leave them in the comment section down below. I would be glad to engage in a conversation with you about this car because it really is quickly shaping up to be one of my favorite Corvettes. And if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do. There's going to be loads of content coming on this C6 you are definitely not going to want to miss. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next upload.